Barack Hussein Obama II was born on August 4, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii. His childhood was not one of wealth or privilege. His father, Barack Obama Sr., came from Kenya, and his mother, Ann Dunham, was from Kansas. From the very start, Barack's life was shaped by two different worlds, Africa and America, black and white, poverty and opportunity. As a child, he often wondered where he belonged. His father left when Barack was only 2 years old. His mother worked hard to provide for him, but life was never easy. Barack's early years were filled with questions of identity. He would stare at the mirror, asking himself, "Who am I? Where do I fit in this vast world?" He grew up with his grandparents for much of his youth. His grandfather, Stanley Dunham, instilled in him a belief in hard work, while his grandmother, Madeline, worked tirelessly at a bank. These influences gave him resilience, but the absence of his father left a void. That emptiness became both a pain and a motivation. A young man in search of purpose. As a teenager, Barack struggled. Like many young men, he felt the weight of confusion. He experimented with things he later regretted, admitting in his book Dreams from My Father that he sometimes lost his way. But deep inside, there was a spark waiting to be lit. After high school, Barack attended Occidental College in Los Angeles. There, he began to realize that he wanted more from life. He transferred to Columbia University in New York, where he studied political science. The streets of New York gave him perspective. He saw homelessness, inequality, and a system that often ignored the voices of the powerless. One day, walking through Harlem, he thought to himself, "I cannot just live for myself. I must do something larger. Something that matters." This thought pushed him to become a community organizer in Chicago. He worked with churches to help families affected by job losses when steel factories closed. The work was difficult, the pay was low, but Barack felt alive. For the first time, he discovered a purpose bigger than himself, serving others. Harvard and finding his voice. Barack's ambition did not stop there. He applied to Harvard Law School, and got in. At Harvard, something extraordinary happened. He was elected the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. The nation began to notice his brilliance, his calm leadership, and his ability to listen deeply before speaking. But beyond law, his heart longed for companionship. In Chicago, while working at a law firm, he met a young lawyer named Michelle Robinson. She was smart, strong, and grounded. Michelle was initially skeptical of dating Barack, but soon she saw in him not just ambition, but sincerity. Their love story blossomed. They would later marry and build a life rooted in partnership, faith, and family. Rising in politics. Back in Chicago, Barack taught constitutional law and continued community work. But he realized something. To bring real change, he needed to enter politics. In 1996, he won a seat in the Illinois State Senate. There, he gained a reputation for working across party lines, listening more than speaking, and finding common ground. But his defining moment came in 2004, when he delivered the Democratic National Convention keynote address. His words electrified the nation. "There is not a liberal America and a conservative America, there is the United States of America." That speech made people across the country ask, who is Barack Obama? Could he be the future? The road to the White House. In 2008, Barack Obama announced his candidacy for President of the United States. Many doubted him. They said, "America is not ready for a black president." They said he was too young, too inexperienced, too idealistic. But Barack believed in the impossible. He built a campaign not on division, but on hope. His slogan, "Yes we can," became a chant that echoed in towns, cities, and hearts across the nation. On November 4, 2008, history was made. Barack Obama was elected as the 44th President of the United States, the first African American to hold the office. Standing before a sea of millions in Chicago's Grant Park, he said, "If there is anyone out there who still doubts, tonight is your answer." Tears streamed down the faces of young and old, black and white, immigrant and native born. The world looked at America differently that night. Trials of leadership. But the presidency was not easy. Barack entered office during the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Millions had lost jobs, homes, and savings. He signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, saving industries from collapse. He fought to pass the Affordable Care Act, giving millions of Americans healthcare who never had it before. The road was brutal, opponents called it impossible, but Barack pressed forward. Beyond domestic struggles, he faced wars abroad, terrorism threats, and international crises. One of the most defining moments came in 2011, when U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden after years of searching. For many, it was closure to a painful chapter in American history. Yet, through every trial, Barack's calm, steady voice guided the nation. Even when criticized, even when mocked, he responded with dignity. Legacy and reflection. After 2 terms, Barack Obama left office in January 2017. He walked out of the White House, hand in hand with Michelle, knowing he had made history. He was not perfect, no leader is, but he had changed what many thought impossible. He showed a generation of children that their skin color, their background, or their hardships did not define their future. He reminded the world that hope is not just a word, it is a choice, a way of living. Even after his presidency, Barack continues to inspire. Through books, speeches, and the Obama Foundation, he empowers young leaders across the globe. His story is not just about politics, it's about resilience, belief, and the courage to dream. Final message. Barack Obama's journey, from a boy with questions of identity, to a man who became President of the United States, is proof of one thing: dreams are powerful when matched with action. When he stood before millions and said, "Yes we can," he wasn't just speaking about himself. He was speaking to each of us. To every child who feels invisible. To every person who feels small. To every dreamer who dares to believe. Because if Barack Obama's life teaches us anything, it is this. Hope can carry us through the darkest nights, and determination can turn dreams into destiny.